Hey everybody, I'm Benjamin, aka the Terrible Australian of supermastery.com, and this is my video review of the of, of the new romantic fantasy drama, The Age of Adeline. So let's get right into it. It's weird. I didn't really know much about this film. Like, I knew a little bit, but one of the things that I found what made me interested in checking out this film was the premise, which I sort of find, which I personally dug, and I like the fact that this is a film that sort of deals with a character who is immortal. And while it's not sort of, an action-heavy kind of film like, say, the Highlander series, or which kind of also dealt with the same topic, but I did like that this is more sort of a character-based kind of drama, and so I was interested to see how this film turned out. Like, there was a bit of a chance that there'd be possibility that, it might not be good, but I figured, I'll check it out nonetheless. So, now having seen the film now, I actually say I really dug it a lot. I really enjoyed it. And, like, I'm a bit of a sucker for romance films. I know a lot of people out there don't, but I actually don't mind a good solid romance if it's done well. But I think the one in this film is actually quite effective, and also the actual premise itself is pretty good, and the film does a pretty solid job at sort of exploring how our main character, the character of Adeline, sort of deals with her immortality. And I did like the fact that one of the things I liked about the film is, like, the film never really explains why she's immortal. Like, we get shown how she became immortal. Like, something happens to her in a car crash. And I like the fact that the film never explained how that event caused her to become immortal, and it's sort of left ambiguous. Like in the film itself, and it's kind of funny that she tries to find out for herself what could have caused this, but she just eventually just sort of gives up on that and just sort of takes it as it is. And I thought that was interesting, because usually in other films like this would sort of explore that and find out the reasons why that is, but I like that the film remains a bit more ambiguous about that. But even that, and also, one of the things I really liked about this film was the performances. And I think Blake Lively, who plays the character of Adeline, she does a really good job. She's wonderful in this film. And she sort of brings, like, even though she's quite young, but she sort of and I agree with this when another review that I read recently, that her performance, the way that how she plays her character, she just feels kind of, there's something sort of old-fashioned about the way that she portrays her performance. Like, you can definitely tell that even though, yes, she's like, even though the film's set in the present, but you can tell that there's something quite different about her. And I like that the fact sort of, like, even though, yes, she's like nearly about 80 years old in the film, over 100 years old in the film, she's living in our present day world, but she still has that sort of, like, her mannerisms, the way that she talks, and she still does feel like a woman from the 1930s in a way, that how she sort of like how her character is portrayed in this film. And I thought that's sort of a really hard way to do it, but I thought Blake Lively did a really wonderful job of doing that. And a good example of this would be sort of like, the Captain America films, where, Chris Evans' character is the man out of time, and how he views the world and how he acts is very different from our modern sensibilities. So she kind of takes a similar approach. Blake Lively sort of takes a similar approach to that in this film. And I thought she did a wonderful job at making that very believable. And also, the film looks stunning. Like, visually, this is a beautiful looking film. The film's director, Toland Krieger, who I didn't realize until after I saw this film, actually directed a really wonderful indie romance film called Celeste and Jesse Forever, which, if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend check it out. So I was very interested for that reason alone, like, the fact that he's directing this film, that, I made me even more interested in the film as a whole. And I thought he did a wonderful job with his direction. Like I said, the film looks visually fantastic. Sort of all the past scenes just looks stunning. Like it just looks so beautiful, and it does a good job. And the film has a pretty solid screenplay as well, and also the supporting cast are also really good as well. But I think Michiel Huisman. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, but so forgive me if I got it wrong. I know him as from Game of Thrones, so that's where I knew him from, and I thought he was pretty solid in the film as well. But to me, the sort of the standout performances of the supporting cast was definitely both Ellen Burstyn and Harrison Ford. Now, Ellen Burstyn, she in the film plays the daughter of Blake Lively's character, and I think some of the best scenes in the film are definitely sort of their interactions with each other, and it's how they sort of, like, even though there's a 50-year age difference between the two actresses, but sort of in the scene, but you can believe that they are mother and daughter because Blake Lively is so mothering, like even though she's much younger than Ellen Burstyn is, you can sense that sort of mothering, that she has that mothering side to her and she loves her daughter. And Ellen Burstyn, even though she's 80 years old, how she sort of portrays her character is interesting because, yes, she is an 80-year-old woman, but she's like anyone with their mother. She sort of brings sort of a young at heart feel to her performance, and that she almost feels like, even though yes, she's an older woman, but you all kind of get the sense that at heart she's quite young, and that sort of her actions almost feel like she's kind of playing the character as if she's like say a 20 or 30-year-old woman, but she does it in a way that doesn't feel like, a caricature or stereotypical of young women today. She plays it in a way that's very believable, and I think there's sort of these scenes between Lively and Burstyn are just really wonderful, and they're just incredibly believable as well, despite sort of the sort of the far-fetchedness of it all. But to me, the one of the best performances in the film actually belongs to Harrison Ford, who I thought was absolutely terrific. And I know a lot of people out there, even though he has, some people sort of like, oh, he's been grumpy the last couple of years and all of his performances are just basically, well, not bad at all, solid, but, just see, like some of them, people say that he's been phoning him in, but he definitely doesn't in this film, and he's just absolutely terrific, and I think in a perfect world, this kind of performance would get him an Oscar nod, in my opinion. And one of the reasons why is that he sort of, this film kind of shows us a side of Harrison Ford that we've never seen before. He just plays a regular dude who, in the film, he sort of plays a character who has a past with the character of Adeline. I'm not going to say how, but, because that'll go in the spoiler territory. But what he brings to this character that I haven't seen in other films before is that he just plays him as a normal, regular guy who's very vulnerable. And I've never seen that side of Harrison Ford before, and it's so, like, when he sort of sees Adeline for the first time in like 30, 40 years, like, you can just see the pain and the confusion and the happiness of what his character's feeling in that moment. And Harrison Ford did a wonderful job at conveying that in this film, and it's just a terrific performance. And I'd say, and if anyone's sort of like, umming and ahhing about Harrison Ford these days, at least with regard to his performances, definitely see this film, and I think you're going to have your tune is going to be completely different after when you see his performance in this film. In terms of negatives, like I said, it's not a perfect film. Like, if you have a plot that's as ambitious as this one, you're not going to be able to sort of go at it full, explore it enough in a hugely satisfying way. And I think there are some aspects of the film I kind of wish, like, the film did explore more. Like, I would have liked to have seen how a bit more the film sort of go a bit more in depth with Adeline's character and how she's feeling about, like, being immortal and how this affects her relationships with people over the years and sort of the struggles of that. I kind of wish there was a bit. There's a bit of that in the film, but I kind of wish there was a bit more to it. And even though like her romance with Michiel Huisman is solid, and he's, like I said before, he's pretty solid in the film as well. But I kind of feel like, I kind of wish there was a bit more with his character as well. Like, if it wasn't for his performance, the character probably would have just come across as rather bland in the film. So I kind of wish, and I kind of wish that the film sort of did more with his character as well. And yeah, those are sort of the like, and also the film's kind of predictable as well in a lot of ways, because you can kind of tell from beginning to end where the story is going to go. So it doesn't really sort of offer you, too many surprises, plot wise. But for most part, but that didn't really bother me too much, because I thought how it was executed was done pretty well. So so if I had to give The Age of Adeline a rating, I would give it a solid 3.5. I'd say if you enjoy sort of romantic dramas, definitely check it out. I'd say it's worth checking out for sure. And I'd tell you one thing, it's definitely better than most of the ones that I've seen in the past few years, particularly of the Nicholas Sparks variety. But this one sort of handles its romance elements pretty well compared to most. So, that's the end of my video review of The Age of Adeline. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys all later. See you, everyone. Bye.